What if I told you that on current trajectories, Poland is set to be wealthier per person than the United Kingdom by 2030? A forecast so stark that even veteran financier Guy Hands warned Poland will be richer than Britain. Before we dive in, take a breath and pour that coffee. Because today's story isn't about Central Europe. It's about a silent reversal of fortune inside Europe's power map. How Warsaw is sprinting while London jogs in place. We'll trace Poland's ascent, unpack Britain's stall, and ask what this means for your portfolio, your pay packet, and the continent's balance of power. Let's begin. First, the scoreboard. In 1990, Poland's GDP per capita, PPP, was barely 30% of Britain's. By 2024, it has surged past 77%. The Economist calculates that if both countries simply repeat their last decade growth rates, Poland edges ahead in 2031, faster if Britain underdelivers. But Warsaw isn't waiting for forecasts. It doubled real output between EU accession in 2004 and 2022, fueled by factories, coding hubs, and export corridors. No housing bubble required. Contrast that with Britain, where house prices soared more than 300% since 2000, while real wages flatlined. A gap Labour economists say could leave the average Brit £500 poorer than the average Pole by 2030 if nothing changes. This isn't innovation, it's divergence. Poland kept vocational schools, modernized plants, and built Europe's fastest growing logistics belt. Britain bet on finance, deregulated housing supply, and Brexit aside saw net investment sag. Why now? Because Poland is compounding growth at roughly 3.5% a year, while Britain manages barely 0.5%. At that spread, 6 years is enough to flip the league table. Capital markets have noticed. Global funds boosted exposure to Warsaw. Here's the twist most analysts miss. Poland's rise isn't just economic, it's strategic. Warsaw now spends more than 4% of GDP on defense, double NATO's guideline, and ahead of Germany. That money buys leverage. Poland is NATO's logistics spine for Ukraine, hosts the bloc's new ammunition hub, and, according to The Economist, fields a larger army than Britain, France, or Germany on current mobilization plans. Investors love security. BlackRock's Frontier Developed Fund raised its Poland weight last quarter, citing defense-backed fiscal stimulus and near-shoring upside. Private capital, manufacturers, chip packagers, battery firms are lining up grants in Łódź and Warsaw, chasing lower energy costs and faster permit times than in Western Europe. But the real move comes after the headlines fade. Watch the Warsaw Stock Exchange. Industrial champions like KGHM, PKP Cargo, and new EV battery spin-offs could re-rate if Poland clinches EU Green Fund disbursements. Currency markets are next. Since early 2023, the zloty has quietly outperformed both sterling and the euro, mirroring Poland's widening growth premium. Here's the angle you won't see on CNBC. Britain's immigration magnet is losing pull. Bloomberg data show job seekers from Poland to Portugal no longer view the UK as the obvious ticket. Many skilled Poles returned home during the pandemic and stayed. That reversal means human capital is flowing east just as wage differentials shrink. A feedback loop that accelerates convergence. So, the question becomes, does a richer, militarily assertive Poland rewrite Europe's power balance? Or does London pivot in time? Because when brains, factories, and brigades migrate, influence migrates with them. Hard truth, catch-up growth builds homes, rail, and chip fabs. It doesn't inflate asset prices for headline GDP. Warsaw is building, Westminster is budgeting. The median Polish household still faces lower nominal wages, but also lower housing costs, higher productivity momentum, and an expanding equity cushion. Britain's average household wrestles with £400,000 homes and near zero productivity growth. History shows every empire, when pressed, turns to its assets. Rome taxed grain, Britain sold rails, and modern London sold its factories for financialization. Poland, by contrast, is acquiring assets, ports, fabs, power plants at Western fire sale prices. There's a window here. If you're sharp, consider reallocating a slice of your European equity to Warsaw Industrials. Monitor zloty-euro spreads and track EU cohesion fund absorption rates as a leading indicator of growth beats. Second, watch defense contractors with Polish order books, artillery, drones, counter-battery radars, as Warsaw's 5% of GDP military budget cascades through supply chains. Third, follow migration data. Eurostat notes a pivot. Central European countries now retain more graduates than they lose, a break from the 2004 to 2016 brain drain era. If those vectors hold, the IMF's 2030 convergence line could arrive a year early, turning Warsaw into Europe's new growth bellwether and pushing the UK further down the G7 income table. So, does Poland become the next Germany or chart its own model of discipline, defense-backed, export-powered capitalism? That's the bet global capital is making right now. If you found this helpful, share it with someone who still trusts yesterday's economic maps. Drop a comment. Will Poland's ascent jolt Britain into reform or rewrite Europe's hierarchy for good? And if you want more sharp takes like this, subscribe. History rhymes. Power rebrands. Stay inquisitive.